good, guys? It is Reed and welcome back to a super dope video. Today we have an incredible force called the reverse fan force by Dani Daortiz, one of the greatest magicians of all time, one of my favorites of all time. This is a force that can be found in his semi-automatica books. It was used in a really fun effect, but more than anything, I remember reading this force and just thinking about how incredible, how amazing of a force it is. It's done all in the spectator's hands, which if you think about that, there's not too many forces that accomplish that. Maybe the crosscut force, but really not that many. None that are this convincing. And it's just super unique and easy. And honestly, me reading this is just one of the greatest gems I've ever found reading through card magic books. I just love it. If you would like to take a look at some private lessons, you can go check out the link below. Send me an email if you'd like some more info, and we can set up a lesson, get you going from where you want to be to where you want to get to and becoming a better magician. That's what I'm about. I'm here to help you guys. So let's not waste any more time. Let's just get right into this incredible force, the reverse fan force. All right, guys, so let me show you a quick demo on this force. Now it's kind of tricky to show because you are supposed to do this, the spectator is supposed to do this under the table or behind their back. So I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna be as fair as I can, and you guys will just have to trust me on this. So what's gonna happen? You will take a fan of cards, hand it to the spectator, and they will go under the table or behind their back, take out any card they want. Okay, so I'll show you this part. They can take out any card. You can take this one, this one, this one. I'm gonna come all the way down here and grab out this card, let's say. Now, under the table, they're gonna flip that card face up, place it back in the fan anywhere they want, close up the fan, give the cards a cut wherever they'd like, and they bring the deck back to the table. That is it. That's exactly what I did under the table. This is completely random. I have no idea what card I selected. Well, let's be honest. We all know what card it's gonna be. Hint, hint. Let's get to it, and we open the fan, and we go through, and we see that, of course, the only card that they have turned over and the card they selected is in fact the Jack of Hearts. And you can see it's the only card that they have selected. All right, guys, so time for the breakdown. So as I mentioned, this force is easy, incredible, and takes very little setup and happens all in the spectator's hands. So the only setup that you need is a setup that will be familiar to you if you've watched my recent open prediction video. It's a very similar, well, actually, it's the exact same setup. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your force card and you're going to leave it face up, second from the bottom of the deck. Okay, so second from the bottom, so you have your face up force card, one more indifferent card, and you are ready to go. So now it looks like the deck is completely regular, and it is. And the great thing is you can, shuffle off from the top of the deck and just throw that back underneath and, give some really nice convincing shuffles just as you're about to go into your force, maintaining that force card in its position. Now what happens is exactly what I said, all right? There's no real secret to this, okay? It just kind of works. You're gonna fan the cards and hand them to the spectator. So what I would do is I have the spectator go like this. I say just hold your hand like this, and I fit that fan in and I say squeeze it tight. Now the original way is to do this under the table. So obviously this will have some problems if you're standing or you don't have a table around, but in the other ideas section, I'm gonna give you guys some other ideas on how to do this without a table. Now what's gonna happen is you're gonna instruct them to go under the table, take out any card they want from the fan. So let's say they come right near the top here and they take this card. You're gonna flip it face up and place it back in the middle of the fan, okay? Close it up, and now you instruct them to cut the deck in half. And that's it. And what that's gonna do, all right, is it's gonna place the force card right in the middle of the deck with their card either very close to the bottom or very close to the top. So now when you refan the cards, the only card that's gonna be displayed, if you leave a small chunk at the top and bottom, is gonna be the force card. You can even go on the table and spread the cards like this, and as long as you conceal, a chunk, it's so clean. Like look how clean that looks, right? It's really incredible. The linguistics on this force are important, okay? And we're gonna talk about how to clean up that extra force card and all that good stuff in the other ideas section. Here are the important linguistic aspects of this. So, first thing that's important is when you hand them the fan, you want to say take out a card anywhere from the middle of the fan, okay? So I say anywhere from the middle. So it feels like they can take it anywhere, which realistically they can. But I always like to instruct them from the middle so that they're not fiddling with the bottom or the top, and maybe, you know, sometimes they can, you know, drop the fan, it can kind of slip out like this when they're starting to fiddle too close to the top or the bottom. When you fan it properly though, people are going to reach in and they're going to take one of these cards here, right? But I always like to say take any card from somewhere in the middle of the fan. So once they've taken that card out, you say flip it face up and put it back in the middle of the fan. Now this, again, it can be generally anywhere, but I say place it back anywhere in the middle of the fan, and that'll just, you know, psychologically force them to put it somewhere between about here and here. They won't stick it, you know, way in this clump at the bottom or way in this clump at the top. The other great thing is if you told them to squeeze tight at the beginning, that card is not easily going to go in this clump, right? It's going to kind of get stuck as they try to push it in, whereas if they go here, it's going to go in a lot easier. And you do ideally want this to be close to the middle, so that's why I think those linguistic points are important. They push it in, you tell them to close up the fan, they close it however they'd like. Once they have the deck squared up, this is the most important. You want them to cut the deck as close to half as you can, all right? That's going to be the best for the outcome of this force, okay? Don't say anywhere this time, just say cut the deck in half, or you can even say, if you're a little bit more worried, say cut the deck, you know, as close to in half as you can and complete the cut. And there's nothing wrong with saying that. It's not suspicious, it's not, you know, helping you achieve this in any way when they try to backtrack this. It's a simple cut. Sometimes I like to frame this even as a test. I say, all right, so pick up a, you know, as close to half as you can. Now they'll do that, and I'll say, then I'll tell them to complete the cut. So instead of framing it as a cut, I frame it as a, you know, do your best, pick up as close to half as you can. Okay, perfect. Now put that on the bottom of the deck. So you're in this position, you say just cut the cards as close to in half as you can. Perfect, and bring the deck back out. Now when we spread, you'll see the Jack of Hearts is here, and the 10 of Clubs is actually right where the Jack was, second from the bottom. So one more time, really quick, through the linguistics. Force card second from the bottom. You're going to fan the cards, and one tip when fanning, tilt it slightly towards you. So this edge is kind of at their eye line, and now they won't be able to really see the top or the bottom. And if you have a little flash of the force card, you're just going to pinch and close it off like that. You just kind of pinch with your index and thumb and it closes, right? So if I do this time it's good, but let's say there was it was a little bit exposed. I'm just going to pinch, close that off, and now I instruct them to hold their hand like this. I place the fan in their hand, I say squeeze tight. Now I say go under the table, so they're under the table. Then you say reach in and pull out any card from the middle of the fan that you'd like. So let's say they go with this one. You say flip that card over and place it back somewhere in the middle of the fan. They'll do that. You say close it up, square everything up, and now cut the deck as close to in half as you can and bring it out. Now, this presents an issue, which we will talk about in a second, if they cut exactly to the card. But let's say for this case, they cut regular, and then you say perfect. So let's see what card you cut to. Let's see, we have the Jack of Hearts. The thing you have to keep in mind is because of the nature of the cards being reversed and the natural bow in the deck, it kind of acts like a breather. So sometimes there's a decent chance that they will cut to their card and they will cut it to the bottom or the top. Now, obviously the bottom's not a huge deal, right? Because you're not really going to see the bottom, right? They bring the deck out and you go straight into the fan. And you know how I reveal this is they take the deck out and I say, all right, let's take a look. Let's see what cards you cut to here. 10 of diamonds, and we're done. Like, I don't spend too much time at that moment, right? The problem becomes if they cut their card to the top, because now you get in this situation where they come back out and, you know, the deck doesn't exactly match up. It doesn't line up and there's a card here. So if you're bold, you can actually just kind of turn the deck and shuffle off a couple of cards here, and in a moment of, you know, a down moment, they bring the deck out and you say, perfect, let me see that, I'll give it a mix, and then you hold the deck this way and try to get away with flipping that deck and them not realizing that you flipped it, right? So you do the fan force face down and they take that card out. The nice thing here is that, you know, you can build some suspense and recap if you wanted before you do the reveal. Another thing, and something Dani talks about, is don't make a big deal out of it. They're not gonna be fully aware that this is, you know, theoretically the card they turned over if they bring it out like this. And he kind of says all you can do is you know, pause for a moment, and he does this thing with his thumb where he kind of flips it over really fast like that. But what I might do is as they bring that deck out, if I see that, if I don't feel like too many people noticed, I'll just give, you know, cut like 3 or 4 cards and bury it somewhere. Otherwise, I'll just handle it openly and I'll say, so think about this. You took that deck, You put one card face up in the middle, right? You flipped one card over, so now there's only one card in the middle of this deck that's facing the other way. So it's justified, so it kind of flies by. You say you took one card, you flipped it face up. So now in the middle of the deck, there's only one card that is in fact face up. And if you do it in that way, and instantly you're showing them the one card that's face up in the middle, and I remind them that they placed the card in the middle, so why would it be on top? And they take that card out, and I guarantee you 90% of the time, no one's gonna question anything. Right? So if you just handle it like this, they come out, you say, all right, so think about that. You took any card, you put it somewhere in the middle of the deck, you flipped it over and placed it in the middle of the deck. So now there's just one card that's face up in the middle of the deck, the Ace of Diamonds. And now all the focus is on the selection and we're away from that moment. If they happen to say, well, what about the card you flipped over? At that point, I would probably just flip it on them and say, well, maybe you accidentally flipped two. I'm not sure why that card was face up, but your card was in the middle of the deck, right? You put it back in the middle somewhere. So you can kind of skate through it that way. Now, in terms of some subtleties, I like to make sure I spread wide. So when you're doing the spread here, what really helps is when you bevel, and then instead of starting this finger all the way down at the bottom, because you want to leave a clump, pull your finger up a bit more. So now when you spread, there leaves a clump at the bottom and a clump at the top. And how you get the clump at the top is as you're pulling, you just release a bit early and it leaves kind of a clump. So I start about here and I come around and then I stop and it leaves a clump on both the top and the bottom. Now when I do that at speed, I have that force card hidden. And again, you do it slightly towards you. Same with the reveal, right? You have the force card in the middle, you do it slightly towards you so you guys can't see anything. And so if I did flash both of them, I do it towards me and I just, as I'm coming down into view, I'm gonna correct this and show. Another little subtle moment that I do like is, like I talked about, doing this face up. So if we have the Queen of Spades as our force card, they flip a card over the Queen of Clubs and it's cut. Now they'll take the deck out and I say, look, you flipped one card face up, put it in the middle of the deck, and we have only one card. So here, take that out. And this is another great subtlety. Let them take the card. Just make sure you pinch tightly so nothing else moves, and they'll be able to pull that card out and set it down. And now you have, this moment where you can set this face down. This is a great subtlety. Recap. They shuffled, they took any card from the fan, flipped it face up, and this was the card they flipped, and it's the Queen of Spades, right? And you can build some suspense if you're doing a prediction effect by doing the reveal face up so that the force card is face down. Now, justifications for this. Why would we have them do this process rather than pick a card, right? That's a question that they're going to be asking. So what I say is, I want you to pick a card, but not a card that you would ever know. I want this to be truly random, and I want this to be all off feeling. So you're just going to do this by feeling. It's going to be a real physical selection that not you or I can know. So I'm going to hand you the cards like this so they're easy to grab. You're going to go under the table so not you or I could know, okay? And take out any card, flip it face up, close the spread, do the cut, and then bring it back out. And now I say, so you've done this completely under the table. There's one card that you have now selected, one card you flipped face up that neither you or I could know. Here, take that card out, and they pull it out, and I say, perfect, whatever, that's your selection, boom. So that's sort of a justification, how you would handle justifying why we're doing this whole process, because that is important to consider. Now, other ideas. So quickly, let's talk about some other ways to handle this. So 2 other ideas for if you don't have a table would be, 1, you tell them do it behind the back, right? It's easy to hold this behind the back and for them to reach in, pull out a card, shove it somewhere, and when they come back, boom, 5 of Hearts, which was our force card, right? Works every time. And in this case, the selection was a bit higher up. Look, it's about 7 cards from the bottom, and it still looked totally fine. Another thing would be to do it, if it's one-on-one, you could have them close their eyes and do it, right? If it's not as easy to go behind their back, but I would always opt for the behind the back, because that way you can do it with a bunch of people too, and you just don't want anyone to see it. That's your reasoning. You can actually do this with multiple cards as well. So let's say I want to force the 2 red kings because I found them faster. What I would do is I'd place 1 in the second position from the bottom face up, and 1 maybe in the 5th or 6th position. So something like this. Now, same thing, you're going to hand them the fan behind their back. They'll take out 1, stick it in the middle, another 1, stick it in the middle, close, cut. You come here and you do the reveal, and you show that there's 2 face up cards in the middle of the deck, and they're both red kings. And it generally works the exact same way. It's a little bit more bold. You're gonna have to be a little bit, like this one's very high in the deck. So you're gonna have to be a little bit more generous with your blocks But again, that's very, very doable, especially if you tilt to yourself and make the adjustments just before you come into view, which is what I always do. You notice watching the video back, I always would fan like this, make any adjustments, and then come down into view to show. Cleanup is very simple with this. You know, there's no need to rush and be worried about cleaning up though. I would probably even do it at the end of a routine. One great option that I always love to do when there's a reversed card in my deck, it would be to clean up as a mistake later on at the start of the next effect or the end of this effect, right? So I've done the effect, you know, I forced on them the 10 of hearts, I did the reveal, whatever. We're done. Now we're about to start another effect, right? And I say, here, come here, take out a card, anyone you want. Oh, that one must have got flipped at some point, so fix that. Go ahead, pick a card, any card. And I fix it in that moment, right? If the cards face up, we go through, I say, here, just take out a card. Oh, that one must have got flipped face up. Here, just take out any card, and we just brush by it. I fix it at the beginning of the next routine or the end of this one, right? Depends on the routine, really. It might not work so well with certain routines, but at the start of your next routine, it's always a great moment to clean up. If you don't like that idea as much, what you can do is just do a little riffle down the back of the deck, and you can quickly spot. There'll be a big moment where you can see roughly where that card is, right? You can see it there at the bottom. I saw a little flick of white. So I just go like this. Oh, I see the flick of white. I'm gonna stop. I know it's near the bottom. In an off moment, I can either riffle with my thumb to that card. I can spread to myself to get that card with a break underneath it, whatever the case may be, and I'll just cut it to the top of the deck, shuffle it to the top of the deck, and then my favorite way is to do sort of the shuffle turnover. So if I have a reverse card, I'll use these fingers to push it and turn the deck as I shuffle. Okay, so there's a card flipped over, so you want to have it on the bottom, and you're gonna hold the deck sort of in a biddle grip and push it over underneath what would be your right hand. So you go like this, then you pivot the deck up and around to start shuffling, leaving that card behind, and it just looks like that, and the card gets flipped over. All right, guys, I hope you loved that force as much as I do. It is an incredible force, super useful, super fair, and a great alternative for in-the-hands spectator forces. Now, I use this in an impromptu version of my effect called The Connection, which I will be teaching very soon, so stay tuned for that because we will use this force, so get to practicing. If you need any help with this force or anything else, card magic, mentalism related, you can hit me up for a private lesson where I'll make you a custom curriculum to get you from point A to point B. We can make some custom effects, custom routines for you and the type of magic you like and want to do. And we can even learn some of my best close guarded effects that I have not taught anywhere else. So if you'd like to set that up, send me an email or check out the website in the link below. So if you guys would like to see more videos like this, more tutorials, more forces, make sure you like the video, leave a comment so I can continue to produce them to the best of my abilities. I really appreciate you guys watching this video. Welcome all the new subscribers. Hope you're enjoying the channel. And with all that said, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and I will catch you in the next video.